On July 3, 1971, a boy is born in Townsville, Australia, and his name is Julian Assange. Julian, at the age of only 16 in the 1980s, when computer technology was not yet advanced, is a hacker. Sitting behind his computer at his parents' home, he explores with a computer that we now refer to as a dinosaur. He manages to hack into various places, including the Pentagon, NASA, Panasonic, and even Lockheed Martin. Assange doesn't do anything specific. He only seeks access to their information and tries to find something interesting and expose it. When Assange turns 20, he decides to hack into a Canadian telecommunications company. But this time, they discover who this hacker is and where he is in the world. The FBI raids his home and arrests him, only to find out that he is just a kid who hasn't done anything significant. They give him only 2 years in prison in 1993. When he is released from prison, the Australian police approach him and tell him that he must work for them. Otherwise, they won't let him live peacefully. He is under strict surveillance, but he says he will help them whenever they need him. The Australian police agree. During this time, Julian enters the University of Melbourne. At the university, he launches a website called leaks.org. However, it doesn't serve any particular purpose until 7 years pass, and we reach the year 2006. In this year, Julian decides to launch a website that all intelligence and security organizations in the world would despise, a website that would become their nightmare. He changes the name of the website to WikiLeaks. What does leaks mean here? It refers to things that leak, news that escapes from steel walls. WikiLeaks is something like Wikipedia, a website where anyone with accurate information can expose it. If it's true, it remains, and if it's not, it gets deleted. From the very beginning, this website shook things up because anyone in the world who had interesting and truthful information could publish it on WikiLeaks. All the news agencies had sharpened their ears and started talking about it. Some important figures in the world became somewhat suspicious and wondered how a website opens up and publishes confidential documents. But the interesting thing is that no one can say anything to Julian Assange because the website is solely his. People share the information they enter into it. It could be a Nigerian hacker or a Russian scientist. No one knows who is leaking these documents. Julian Assange has no connection to it. This website has upset the big shots of the world and made them somewhat scared. They said that tomorrow everything will be exposed, but they couldn't do anything about it. They were waiting for an opportunity to somehow silence it. When we reach the year 2010, a video is released on WikiLeaks. It is a video taken on July 12, 2007 in Baghdad, and it's from a U.S. Army Apache helicopter. If you want to see it, you have to search for it yourself. The Apache helicopter drops 18 people in 3 seconds, like a high-speed and strange rain shower.
Behind the building. Come on, fire!
This video was highly classified, and the reason was that there were ordinary people on the street, but someone, unknown, had released it on WikiLeaks. This video made WikiLeaks global, and its fame exploded. The world got to know WikiLeaks as a whistleblower. After that, the noise gradually increased. The Pentagon declared WikiLeaks a threat to national security, which was a very serious statement, but they still couldn't do anything about it. They started making a move, especially targeting Julian Assange, like shutting down his accounts in different banks one by one. Every bank he went to, they wouldn't open an account for him. That's why he had to turn to Bitcoin, which was the first cryptocurrency at that time, and its price was low. But it wasn't as easy as they thought. They had a plan to somehow silence it. You should know that a website like WikiLeaks or even Wikipedia doesn't have much income. You have to spend money, not withdraw it. Julian Assange always sought investment to keep the website running. In August 2010, he goes to Sweden to attract investors. Julian stays in Sweden, but he can only stay there comfortably for 3 months. The Swedish police arrest him on charges of sexual assault against 2 Swedish women. A temporary court order is issued, he posts bail, and he goes to England in a kind of limbo. No one said he was not guilty. After the release of the Baghdad video, Julian's life was disrupted. He was always under surveillance, and they tried to conspire against him. Many say that the crime he committed, which is sexual assault, is a heinous crime in the world. For example, they didn't accuse him of infidelity or theft, but they accused him of something that would make the world hate him. Now, why did Assange go to England? It's because England is the only country that doesn't have an extradition treaty with any country, but Sweden did. It means that if the US government requested it from the Swedish government, they would have to extradite him to me. But England wouldn't do that. That's why he went to a country that wouldn't send him to the US. When they found out that he went to England, they tried to arrest him and take him to prison. But he had hidden himself. Where? In the Ecuadorian embassy in London. He had made a deal and arrangement with the Ecuadorian government that nobody knew about, but Ecuador had granted him asylum. Even the Ecuadorian foreign minister requested permission from the UK to let him come to Ecuador. But such permission was not granted by the UK government, and he remained in the Ecuadorian embassy in London. He was staying in a small room within the embassy, but with all the facilities. He couldn't step outside the embassy because the police were waiting to arrest him. However, since he was on Ecuadorian soil, they couldn't capture him during this time. WikiLeaks, the website founded by Julian Assange, was fully operational, and people from all over the world were publishing confidential information on it until March 2017, when a classified document was released on WikiLeaks, exposing the CIA's vulnerabilities. It was called Vault 7. In this document, a group of hackers from an unknown corner of the world had hacked into the CIA's systems. The information that was leaked in these documents was shocking and revealed the tools and capabilities of the CIA. It was mind-boggling, such as finding out that there were microphones everywhere in the world or that cameras were present in various locations. WikiLeaks had angered many, and the CIA was furious. They simply wanted to retaliate somehow. They claimed that these leaked confidential documents were betraying the country and that he should be arrested for treason. On April 13, 2017, the then head of the CIA, Mike Pompeo, stated that Julian Assange was a traitor and should be recognized as an enemy of America. Pompeo addressed the CIA officers at that time and instructed them to find and capture Julian by any means necessary, not to censor themselves because everything was permissible. He even assured them not to worry about the law, as he would take responsibility. In a way, he directly stated to destroy him. But it didn't take long for Pompeo to start spewing nonsense and accusing all the lawyers in Washington, the CIA, and so on. What are you talking about? What is this nonsense you're saying? They said that according to US laws, this person has not committed any wrongdoing, and an American officer cannot arrest Julian according to the law. In 2018, Julian Assange's life reached its 6th year in this room at the Ecuadorian embassy in London. A certain government official in Ecuador was also upset with Assange because WikiLeaks was exposing some documents about Ecuador. The Ecuadorian government decided to get rid of this burden somehow. They said he has been our guest for 6 years. However, it does not prevent the disclosure of our documents. In April 2018, the president of Ecuador announced that if the security of Julian Assange is ensured, we want to remove him from here. A year passed, and nothing happened until we reached April 2019, when Moreno, the president of Ecuador, announced that Julian Assange is no longer a guest in our embassy, and he should reduce the trouble. Moreno was very angry because a few days before these talks, WikiLeaks had exposed corruption involving Moreno. However, Assange did not leave the embassy. They told him he couldn't leave. And the next day, they announced that the British police were allowed to enter the embassy and arrest Julian Assange. They arrested him, and immediately he was sentenced to 50 weeks in prison. The 50 weeks passed, and he is still in prison. On the other hand, the US Supreme Court has issued an absentia warrant stating that Assange is a traitor to America and must be extradited. For now, he has been sentenced in absentia to 170 years in prison, but the laws of the UK do not allow him to be extradited. You may ask why they are keeping him if the 50-week sentence has ended. According to UK laws, they can keep someone arrested for conspiracy until a complete investigation is conducted. especially someone involved in such an important matter. Now, what happened to the WikiLeaks website with all these documents and disclosures? The website is still open, but it is not actively operating. The last thing that was exposed on this website was in August 2021, about 3 years ago. Since then, it has been somewhat silent but not closed. If you examine the WikiLeaks documents, you will see that more than 10 million documents have been disclosed about any country you name, revealing what was happening behind the scenes. However, only the documents that were disclosed until August 2021.